The use of hands and fingers to eat in the Indian subcontinent is an ancient practice that goes beyond convenience. It's deeply rooted in culture, tradition, health, and spirituality. Here are some of the reasons why eating with hands remains such an important part of Indian dining etiquette. Connection to food and nature. In India, eating with your hands fosters a deep connection between the body, mind, and food. It is believed that eating with hands enhances the sensory experience of a meal by allowing you to feel the texture, temperature, and consistency of the food. This mindful interaction heightens your awareness and appreciation of what you're eating. The act of touching food is seen as a sacred ritual that allows for a deeper connection to nature. In many traditions, food is viewed as a divine gift, and using one's hands is a way to acknowledge and honor that. Ayurvedic philosophy, Ayurveda, India's ancient system of medicine, teaches that each of the five fingers represents one of the five elements: earth, water, fire, air, and ether. When these elements come together in balance, they promote better digestion and health. Eating with hands, from an Ayurvedic perspective, is a way to harmonize these elements during a meal. Thumb represents fire, Agni, and aids in metabolism. Index finger represents air, Vayu. Middle finger represents space, Akash. Ring finger represents earth, Prithvi. Little finger represents water, Jal. Ayurveda also emphasizes that digestion begins in the mouth, and the physical sensation of touching food prepares the body to better digest and assimilate the nutrients. Digestive benefits. Eating with hands is also considered to have digestive benefits. By touching food, you instinctively know how hot or cold it is, which prevents scalding and allows you to adjust your eating pace to match your digestive capacity. The touch of food with your hands is said to send signals to your brain that trigger the release of digestive enzymes, thus priming your digestive system. Additionally, it is thought that this practice fosters mindful eating, being fully present during the meal, which can lead to better digestion and overall health. Cultural and religious significance. In Indian culture, food is considered sacred, and the act of eating is often seen as a spiritual experience. In Hinduism, many rituals involve offering food to deities, and the hands are considered the cleanest and most direct tool to handle food. Before eating, it's common to wash hands thoroughly to purify them, underscoring the sanctity of food. Sharing food and eating with others is also a highly valued tradition, and using hands fosters a sense of community and bonding, especially in family and communal settings, historical and practical context. Historically, in the Indian subcontinent, utensils were not as commonly used for eating everyday meals. Many traditional dishes, especially rice breads like chapati and naan and curries, are well suited to be eaten by hand. The texture of Indian food, often consisting of gravies, flatbreads, and rice, makes it easier to mix flavors and get the perfect bite using your fingers. In rural areas and older times, utensils were scarce and hands were the natural, readily available tool. This has remained a practical and convenient way to eat in many parts of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, and Nepal, where the tradition continues to thrive. Eating as a sensory experience. Eating with your hands allows for a full sensory engagement with the meal you can. Feel the texture of food, whether it's soft, crispy, grainy, or smooth. Control the portion with precision, especially when mixing food like rice with curries. Balance the flavors by combining different food elements, such as rice, vegetables, and sauce, in one bite. Eating with hands is not only practical, but also adds to the pleasure of eating, making it a richer, more involved experience. Religious practices. In Hinduism, Jainism, and Sikhism, food holds a central place in daily life and spiritual practice. There are certain religious customs tied to how food is handled, served, and eaten. For example, Hindus often say a prayer or chant before eating,
and the use of hands reflects a humble connection to the divine. In many temples and households, food is offered to deities first and then consumed as prasad, blessed food. Hands are considered the most respectful way to partake in this sacred offering. Additionally, the left hand is traditionally reserved for unclean tasks, while the right hand is used for eating, a distinction that aligns with concepts of purity in Indian traditions. Geographical influence. The climate of the Indian subcontinent also played a role in the development of this eating practice. Utensils like knives, forks, and chopsticks were more commonly used in colder climates to handle hot food. In warmer regions like India, the temperature of food could be comfortably handled with the hands' influence in neighboring countries. The tradition of eating with hands is not limited to India but extends across South Asia and the Middle East. In neighboring countries like Sri Lanka, Nepal, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, eating with hands is a widespread custom as well, often done in a communal setting. Similarly, in parts of Africa and the Middle East, such as Ethiopia and Saudi Arabia, hands are used to eat traditional dishes like injera or flatbreads. Modern perspective. Even though globalization and Western influence have introduced the use of cutlery in urban areas and fine dining, many Indians continue to prefer eating with their hands at home. For most people, it remains a cherished part of their cultural identity, connecting them with their roots and traditions. In summary, the practice of eating with hands in the Indian subcontinent is deeply tied to cultural, religious, and health beliefs. It's seen as a way to connect with food on a deeper level, balancing the elements in the body, aiding digestion, and creating a mindful, sensory-rich eating experience. While Western cutlery like forks, knives, and spoons became popular in other parts of the world, the use of hands has continued to symbolize tradition, spirituality, and respect for food in India and surrounding regions.